Welcome to Ambassador's Daily Banquet, Odo, your daily spiritual nourishment. Yeah, yeah, we feast on God's word, draw strength from his promises to live as true ambassadors. Jure, receive fresh revelation to empower your faith. Oh yeah, let us step into today's banquet. Come on, step into the banquet.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ambassadors Elite World Outreach Podcast. I'm your host, and we have a great show for you today.
You ever wonder how a simple daily reading can actually inspire someone to change their life or even how they lead? Well, in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct a daily devotional piece by piece to see how it builds an argument, pushes you to act, and builds a whole community around one single powerful idea, leading with faith. So, this is the big question at the heart of our source material. Walk by faith, not by sight. It's a phrase a lot of us have probably heard before, right? But how do you actually take that from a nice-sounding idea and turn it into a real, solid philosophy for leadership? That's the puzzle this text is trying to solve. So we're going to unpack exactly how this devotional, Ambassadors Daily Banquets, is put together. We're going to look at its structure, its core message about leadership, and then the very specific things it asks its readers to do. Think of it like we're popping the hood on a persuasion engine to see how all the parts work together. All right, so to really get the message, we first have to understand the frame. How was this whole idea presented to the reader to give it the biggest possible impact? One of the first things you notice is how the message is layered. This isn't just some random thought for the day. It's carefully tucked inside a yearly theme of double honor, which is inside a monthly theme of raising leaders, and then finally, you get to the daily topic of leading with faith. This kind of structure immediately makes the reader feel like they're part of a much bigger, ongoing story. So with that big narrative setup, the devotional then drills down to its core principle. Every argument needs a solid foundation, and for this one, it's a really powerful theological idea. And boom, here it is. This one verse is the anchor for the entire devotional. It's presented not just as some nice inspiration, but as a direct command for how to live, and specifically how to lead. It really establishes that fundamental conflict the rest of the text is going to explore, faith versus sight. And here's how they define their key term. Faith-filled leadership isn't just about what a leader believes privately. No, the text argues that its real power, its real measure, is whether it can inspire that same trust in other people. It's a leadership model that's designed to be contagious. What this does is it creates this really powerful, almost binary choice for you, the reader. On one side, you've got walking by faith, which is all about trusting in promises and a wisdom you can't necessarily see. And on the other side, there's walking by sight, which the source frames as being stuck, limited by human logic, what's right in front of you, and of course, fear. The choice they present is really stark, and that's completely intentional. Okay, but a principle is just an idea, right? To make it really stick, you need a model. So the source provides a case study to make this abstract concept feel real, and more importantly, something you could actually do. And that model is Abraham. He's held up as the ultimate faith-based leader, someone who acted on a divine instruction, without a map, without a clear destination, really with no guarantee beyond a promise. He basically becomes the living, breathing user manual for this whole leadership idea. And then the devotional does something really smart. It breaks Abraham's story down into this clear 4-step process. First, you've got the call. Then, that period of uncertainty. Then comes the critical step, obedience. And finally, the fulfillment of the promise. By structuring it like this, the text turns an ancient story into a repeatable model for anyone reading it today. All right, and this is where everything shifts. This is the pivot point of the devotional. It moves from explaining a principle and telling a story to demanding a direct, personal response from you. The way the devotional makes that pivot is with this one powerful question from its life application section. Are your decisions rooted in faith or fear? It's a question designed to force you, the reader, to apply that binary choice, faith versus sight, directly to your own life, right now. So right after that soul-searching question, you get hit with the call to action. You're prompted to make these very specific declarations and commitments. See, it's not enough to just agree with the idea. The text asks for a real, verbal, intentional commitment to actually go out and do it. And then they take it up another level. The commitment escalates to its highest point, a formal prayer of salvation. This is a really crucial part of the structure. It shifts the text's goal from just improving your leadership skills into the territory of full-on religious conversion, inviting you to become a new creation. But it doesn't just stop there with your own personal transformation. The whole final section is about mobilizing you, the reader, into a wider community and a global mission. And this mission, it's called Operation 500 Million Souls. And honestly, the way it's structured is pretty brilliant for getting people involved. It offers these different levels of commitment. You can be a prayer partner, a volunteer missionary, or a kingdom investor. This creates multiple, easy ways for anyone who's inspired to join in, no matter what their resources are. And get this community is plugged into a surprisingly huge digital ecosystem. I mean, we're talking about everything from WhatsApp groups for midnight prayer and even business networking to Telegram for podcasts, and then a presence all the way over on TikTok and LinkedIn. It's a really modern, multi-platform approach to building and keeping a global religious community connected. The global scale and coordination of this network are pretty remarkable. By listing out these specific, coordinated prayer times for countries all over the world, from Nigeria to the Philippines, the text creates this very real sense of a highly organized 24-hour cycle of engagement. It makes any single reader feel like they're part of this constantly active worldwide movement. And finally, the whole thing wraps up with 2 key instructions that are really designed to keep the cycle going. First, there's a theological reminder to prepare, which keeps the mission feeling urgent. And second, there's a direct command to share, which basically turns every reader into a potential missionary for the text itself. So, after breaking all this down, it leaves you with a really fascinating question. This devotional defines faith as acting on a promise without seeing the whole picture. Now, if you kind of strip away the specific religious language, doesn't that sound a lot like what we call visionary leadership in pretty much any other field? It makes you wonder, how much of what we praise as vision or gut instinct is just another way of saying you're walking by faith, not by sight?
Thank you for watching. Please share, like, and comment. Your host, God7, David F. Wafulu.